Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Masechet Megillah Daf Yomi 13a1. We were talking about that each of the tribes, whether it was Yehuda and Yamin, you remember there were two different opinions. One of them says that it was because of us that he was born. And why? Because David did not kill Shimi ben Gera, and David was from Yehuda. Shimi ben Gera was from Binyamin. He was the grandfather, right? The great whatever it is, of Mordechai, right? At Tzaddik. And Mishpacha Binyamin said it was he came from us. So each one, that's why he came from also Yehuda and also from Binyamin. Rava comes and he says, Knesset Israel is the one that's coming and saying to the other way around. What's the other way around? Reuma asali Yehudi. Look what this Jew came and he did to me. Mashilem li mini. What does that mean? Masali Yehudi. Look what Yehuda did, that he didn't kill. David did not kill Shimi ben Gera. So because he didn't kill Shimi ben Gera, they had Mordechai. But he says that he was the one that went against Haman. But look what Binyamin did. What did Binyamin do? Shaul HaMelech did not kill Agag. And because he didn't kill Agag, that's why we had Haman. So they were each one were saying, it's your fault. Like for us, Yehuda were saying, Chazak. Why? Because David HaMelech did not kill Shimi ben Gera when he should have killed him, because he was Mored b'Malchut. So therefore, that was the problem. Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says, this is where we're starting today. Okay, 4 lines down. Rabbi Yochanan Amar. Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says another answer. Leolam in Binyamin Kate. Really, Be'emet, he came from the tribe of Binyamin. So why was he called Yehudi? Because he rejected Avodah Zarah. When you renounce Avodah Zarah, you are called a Yehudi. Not that you came from the tribe of Yehuda. You're called a Yehudi. Shekol HaKofer b'Avodah Zarah nikra Yehudi. Kritiv Itai Guvrin Yehudaim. Right there, they're talking about there's people which are Yehudim, that they don't serve the gods, and that doesn't mean that they mamash come from Shevet Yehuda. It just means that they are Yehudim. Next. Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi. Yeah, Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi. Ki hava patach b'divrei Yamim. When he used to start in the drashot of divrei Yamim, Amar Hach, he used to start like this. Now, until now, we were talking about when they used to start the parasha of Megillah Esther. Now we're talking about divrei Yamim. Okay? Amar Hachi, he said like this. Kol devarecha echadhem. All of divrei Yamim is one thing. Which means that you're all going to say, even though there's a lot of names and everything, it's all one thing. Ve'anu yodin ledorshan. And we have a mesoret how we're supposed to be doresh. Okay? V'ishto Yehudiya yalda et Yered, avi gedor, ve'et chever, avi socho, ve'et Yekutiel, avi zanoach. Ve'ele bene bitya. Remember, it's written there, bitya, not batya. Right? For those that know how to read. Bat paro asher lakach mared. What does this mean exactly? Right, so it says over here, all these kavanot, all these shemot, they're all the same kavanah for one person. Who's that one person? No. Who is Yered, Avi Gedor, Chever, Avi Socho, Yekutiel, Avi Zanoach? Moshe Rabbeinu. Very good. Moshe Rabbeinu, and who was the one that it says Bnei Bitya, the son of Bitya? To be Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Shelakach Mared. The Mared got married to her. So now we're going to see what Mordechai said. Amai Kareli Kodem Kol. Why does the pasuk say that Bitya was called Yehudiya? So it says Al Shum Shekafra B'Avodah Zarah. She was called Yehudiya, but she went against Avodah Zarah. So she's called a Jew, a Yehudiya. Not that she came from the tribe of Yehuda. She's the daughter of Paro, but rather she's called Yehudiya. Which is this week's parasha. On the means we're reading Shabbat's Daf, and this is what we're reading on Shabbat in the parasha. Right? Just to pay attention, yeah? So it says, Vateret bat Paro lichotz al hayor. The daughter of Paro, the daughter of Pharaoh, she went down to wash herself in the Nile River. Ve'amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, she'yarda lilchotz migilulei bet avia. She went down to get rid of the girulim of the father's house. She went down to do tevilah. She went down to convert. That's what she was doing. Yalda, what does it mean? So it means, again, one more time. Bishto Yudiya. Yudiya is Bitya. Why is she called Yudiya? Because she rejected Avodah Zarah. Then it says, Yalda. What is Yalda? She didn't give birth to him. She grew him up. She didn't physically give birth to Moshe Rabbeinu. So says the Gemara, Lomar lecha to teach you, Shekol megadel yatom v'yitoma betoch beto, ma'aleh alav hakatuv ki'ilu yilado. If you grow up someone in your house, here usually they use yatom v'yitoma because that's the norm. Meaning, right? Meaning that the norm is, right, is that it's a yatom v'yitoma. Where are you going to grow up? Somebody else's, you're not going to adopt somebody's child for what? Usually it's a yatom, yatoma. They didn't have, they didn't have parents, or they didn't have one parent, or it was too much for them. So therefore, if you come and you take them into your wings, under your wings in your house, you are a ki'ilu that you gave birth to them. Yeah? Right. By the way, you should know that in the Shulchan Aruch, there's a question brought down, because when it says here ki'ilu, there's a question brought down in the poskim, right? That is it ki'ilu means 100% or not? And therefore, nafkamina, are you mikayem pirya v'rivya? That's why some people at the beginning, they cannot have children. So they come and they tell them, adopt a child. They come, they adopt a child, and all of a sudden that opens up the door that they have children. You understand? Which is incredible. But it's mamash, the concept of that. You know why? Because when you adopt it, it's ki'ilu yeladot. It's like you give birth to them. So are you mikayem pirya? Says the Gemara, Yered. Who's Yered? Ze Moshe. It's Moshe Rabbeinu. Remember, how many names did he have here? He had Yered, Avi Gedor, Chever, Avi Socho, Yekutiel, Avi Zanoach. So he says over here, Lama nikra shemo Yered. Right? Why was he called Yered? Yeah, why was he called Yered? So he comes and he says, Shiarad lahem Yisrael man biyamav. Yered is Nashon Yarad. The manna came down during his days. So since it came down during his days, that's why he was called Yered, Yarad. Gedor, what is Gedor? Shegadal pirzoten shel Israel. He gave them the Torah, which makes a fence around the breaches. So that's Gedor. Chever, what is Chever? Shechiberet Israel avim. He connected, right, Israel to their father in heaven. Socho, shnasa laim li Israel kesukah, that he became like a sukkah. He protected them like a sukkah. That's what he did to Israel. Yekutiel shekavu Israel yalel b'yamav. That during the Dor Midbar, everyone was waiting, was yearning for Akash Baruch Hu during his days. Zanoach, what is Zanoach? She's niach avononten shel Israel. He comes and he distances the sins of Israel through his tefillot. Okay? So now why is it called 3 times Avi? Because if you realize, you had Yered, you had Gedor, you had Chever, you had Socho, and you had Yekutiel, and then you had Zanoach. Okay, so now the question is, why is it now? So these 6 names, right, and other than Moshe, obviously, right? So now the question now is, so why all of a sudden then is it written now, the entire concept Avi 3 times? Because it said in the Pasuk, we show you the Avi Gedor, Vet Chever Avi Socho, Vet Yekutiel Avi Zanoach. Why does it say Avi 3 times? You told me the names. So Yered, Gedor, Chever, but why Avi? Avi, Avi, Avi. Why 3 times? My father, my father, my father. So he says, Avi, Avi, Avi. Av beTorah, Av beChochmah, Av beniviyut. He was our father in Torah, in wisdom, and in prophecy. Okay? Ve'ele benebitya. This is the child of Bitya. Shelakach Mered Shemo. Mered was the name. Valo Kalev Shemo. His name was Kalev ben Yefuneh. Yeah? So what does that mean exactly? Because it says it's talking about Kalev and Yefuneh over there. So Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yavo Kalev shemarad ba'atzam meraglim, v'yisa bat paro shemarda b'gilule bet aviyah. Comes Kalev ben Yefuneh, that he rebelled against the meraglim. So he's going to come and he's going to get married to Bitya bat paro, that she rebelled against the Avodah Zarah, right? She converted. Right? She did she rebelled against the Avodah Zarah of her fathers. Okay? So that's what is brought down in this Gemara. Okay? Next. Says the Gemara, we're now dealing with Asher Oglam Yerushalayim. We're going back to the parasha, to the Megillah, where the Megillah says, right, Asher Oglam Yerushalayim, right, which was exiled from Yerushalayim. Amar Rava, says Rava, Shegala me'atzmo. What does that mean? That Mordechai put himself into galut, right, on his own. That means even without the will of Nebuchadnezzar. Meaning Nebuchadnezzar did not send Mordechai into galut. He sent himself into galut. Vayhi omenet Hadasa. Then he took in Hadasa, which is Esther Batodo, Esther's cousin. Karila Hadasa, the Karila Esther. Why is she called Bemet Hadasa and why is she called Esther? So says the Gemara Tanya, we learned in the Braita. Rabbi Meir says, Esther Shema, her name was Esther. So why was she called Hadasa? Hashem HaTzadikim Shnikru Hadasim. on the tzaddikim that they were called hadasim. V'chen hu omed, and also says in a pasuk, vehu omed ben hadasim. Yeah, that he's standing in between the hadasim. Okay, so the kavanah is to the Shekhinah, which is in between the tzaddikim, which are meshulim la'hadasim, which are compared to hadasim. They went to exile to Bavel. Rabbi Yehuda says, Hadasa Shema. Hadasa is the name. Lama nikret Shema Esther. So why was she called Esther? Al Shem Shayta Masteret Devareha. Because she was hiding, concealing her words. Shneimar and Esther Magedet Tatama, which means that Mordechai told her, do not give in, do not tell what nation you came from. You're not supposed to say anything. So because of that, that's what he's coming and saying over here, that she concealed her words. That's why Esther is come to conceal. Or Hadasa is because of Hadasim, which is basically tzaddikim. Tzaddikim are called Hadasim. Rabbi Nechemia says, Hadasa Shema, right? So basically, one more time. The first opinion, which was Rabbi Meir, says her real name was Esther, but she was nicknamed Hadasa. Rabbi Yehuda says the real name was Hadasa. She's nicknamed Esther. And Nechemia says again the same thing. Then the real name was Hadasa. Why was she called Esther? Shayu umot haolam, because the umot haolam korin ota al shum estahar. We're calling her al shem the yareach, al shem the moon. Okay, so he says Ben Azai says Esther Shema. Esther was her name. So he says Shayu umot. So he says why? Lefi shelo aruka velo ketzara hayta ela benonit kadasa. It says, what does that mean? It says that really be'emet, her name was Esther. So, but what? She wasn't tall. She wasn't short. She was benonit, like Hadasa. Right? Hadasa is middle size. Rabbi Yoshua ben Korcha says Esther Shema. Again, Esther was her name. I'm not sure exactly why I didn't bring it in an order, because you first had Esther was the real name, Hadasa is the nickname. Then you had the opposite. Hadasa is the real name, Esther. Then Hadasa, and then back to Esther again. Right? Esther is the real name. Right? So he says, why was she called Hadasa? She was called Hadasa because she was green, like Hadas. She was green. Green. It's called the jaundice. Yeah, it's like a yellowish, greenish skin. It's not dark. It's greenish, right? But it says chut shel chesed mashuch aleh, because she had a chut shel chesed which was on her. Yeah. So he says ki en la av va'em. She didn't have a father and a mother. Uvmot avia b'ima lamali. So 1 second. Why did it say it twice? It says en la av va'em. It says that she doesn't have a father and a mother, and then it says when the father and the mother died. Yeah. Listen to this. Right, this is a very important Gemara. Very important Gemara. It says over here, Amar Ravacha says, Ibarta, when she became pregnant, right, when the mother became pregnant, metavia, the father died. Yeladtoa metaima. Yeah, he comes and he says, Yelata metaima, the mother died. Yes, exactly. So one more time. When she became pregnant, the mother of Esther, when she became pregnant, the father died, okay? And when the mother gave birth, that's when the mother died. So what did it have to do with the father dying, the mother dying when pregnancy? What's going on? Says Rashi. Rashi says, right? During the time when the mother became pregnant, the father died. She didn't have a father from the time that she was, right? That she was fitting to be called the father. What does that mean exactly? You guys listening? Iowa, you guys listening? So he comes and he says something incredible. When is a man called the father? When his wife becomes pregnant. When does a woman call the mother? When she gives birth. That's what you just read. You just read it. What rega? Says the Gemara. So when the death of the father and the mother, right, she took her as a daughter. Tana mishum Rabbi Meir. We learned in the name of Rabbi Meir. Al tikre levat ela lebayit. Don't say he took her in as a daughter. He took her in as a wife, as a spouse, as a bait. Right? The house is the wife. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he says al tikre levat ela lebayit. V'chen hu omer, and that's what it says in pasuk. Ve'larash en kol kim kivsa achat ketana shekana v'yechaya. ותגדל עמו ועם בניו יחדיו מפיתות תאכל מכוסות תשתה וחלקות תשכב ותהי לו כבד. What does that mean? It says this is by Uriah Hittite, that he was like a poor person. Right? You remember this was the story of Natan Navi that he told David HaMelech. He said, V'larash en kol, the poor person, he has nothing. Kim kivsa ktana, he only has one sheep. Shekana, that he purchased it and he's making Fatigdal imo, she went up with him, Banav Yachtav, she's eating from his bread, she's drinking from his cup, it was like Prema Bat. He shouldn't have He says what? Because she was in his bosom, now he's called a bat. Ela kebayit. It was a house. It was his wife. Hachanami the bait. So 2 years a bait. So they bring a proof from Uriah, Chiti, and Batsheva that that's called a house. That's called the wife. Right? Fine. Sheva ne'arot. All of a sudden, he had Sheva ne'arot. What does that mean? Amar Rava. Shaita mona b'en yimei Shabbat. Why did Esther take 7 women? You know why? That's how he knew the days of the week. He knew your Sunday, your Monday, your Tuesday. I know when I see Mordechai, אני רואה Shabbat. Huh? Yeah, אני רואה Shabbat. אני רואה Shabbat.
One for every day?
One for every day.
Esther was Shabbat?
No. Esther had, it's written, and then it says, why did she have 7 maidservants? So every day was a different maidservant. So when she saw the one of Shabbat, she knew it was Shabbat. Okay? Vaishanea.
I have the same problem.
What's from Mordechai? שבע נערות אמרבה שהייתה מונה בהן השבת. וישניה ונערותיה. What does that mean? וישניה ונערותיה. אמרב שהכילה מיחל יהודי. What does it mean? She was different from the other women. Why? Because the shinui was that they were always eating kosher food. Shmuel Aman and Shmuel says the shinui was shechila kiled bechazire, that they were giving them to eat, right, pieces of pig. Shuman chazir. Rabbi Yochanan says shechila zironim. Zironim are different like beans and things like that. Right, and it says also zironim tovim are tzadikim. Why was it? Keeps them away. That's what Daniel, Chanyam, Mishav, Zeriah, but him instead of pat begam, tell them zironim. That's what they were eating in order that, that's the only thing they were eating. Shisha chodashim, it says that all the women, when they came to the house of Achashverosh, in order to come and to see, they had to go through a cleansing process, through a beautifying process. So they had to be in 6 months in Shemen Amor. My Shemen Amor, what does it mean Shemen Amor? Rav Chia Baraba Amar, Rav Chia Baraba says, Sitachat. It's Shemen Afar Simon. What's Shemen Afar Simon? Persimmon oil. Yeah, that's what they were like dipping. They were doing. Yeah. Which one? Persimmon. Yeah. Rav Huna Amar Rav Huna says, Shemen Zayit Shelo Vishlish. It's really olive oil, but the oil did not bring a third. It didn't ripen to a third. Tanya, we learned in a writer. Rav Yehuda says, Anfakinon. What's Anfakinon exactly? We're talking about the Shemen Zayit Shelo Vishlish. Lama Sachinoto. So why did they used to anoint themselves with this? Shemashir et hasear ume'aden et basar. What it does is it removes the hair. So therefore they were using it. It was like a laser. They were removing their hair, right? And it was also me'aden et basar. It would make it soft, to make it smooth. Yeah, that's why. So therefore that's why they had to put themselves. Yeah.
I swear we have this oil today, Rabbi. We Moroccan oil. Bye.
Yeah, it's true. What does it mean in the nighttime she used to come? In the morning she returned. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, because of the genut, how we disgrace him, we actually learn the shevach. He didn't have relations during the day. Why? Because it says he would only have it at nighttime. So therefore, every single night he would come, and then Vaboker Shabbat. So that means even though every single night this guy was doing this, and therefore we learned the genut, but we actually learned our Shabbat. We learned the praise. What's the praise? It was only during the nighttime. But Esther was finding favor in the eyes of all. We already learned this. To every single one, she looked like their nation. Meaning, she looked, right, Parsi. She looked Madai. She looked Bavli. She looked like Israelite. She looked Moroccite. She looked Tunisite. She looked Algeriite. She looked like from Algeria. Tripolitite. Right? She looked like everything. You look at her, you think that she comes from you. The fact that she comes from you, everyone says, look how beautiful she is. Yeah, that's what it is. So he says, okay, incredible. During the month of Tevet, what month are we in? Tevet, right? Today's Michai's birthday. Kav Tevet. Yeah? So he says, yeah. So he comes and he says, yeah, he comes and he says, he comes and he says like this. He says, what does it mean? Is Chodesh Tevet. What does it mean now? The 10th month, which is Tevet. Yerach Shenena Guf Mina Guf. This is the month that the body benefits from the body. What does that mean? Since it's so cold, so now the body benefits being close to another body. Because the month of Tevet is wintertime. In wintertime, so therefore the body benefits that it's being close to another body. Okay, so that's what it means. Okay? Why did he like Esther from all the women in the Kol Betulot? Why did he like Esther? But Amar Rav says, whatever taste he wanted, he got. He wanted to taste the Betula, she was a virgin. He wanted to taste the Beula, she was a Beula. It all depends, whatever he wanted. Yeah? That's what it was. He got all the tastes. Huh? Like the manna, exactly. Whatever he wanted to taste. Vayas Hamelech Nishte Gadol. There's the Gemara. Vayas Hamelech Nishte Gadol Avad Nishtaya. So he made a very big party. And she still didn't come and revealed to her, right, who she was from. Dale Karga, she took off taxes. She still didn't reveal to him. Shadar Pradishne, he went and he sent messengers to find another wife. And she still didn't reveal it. Meaning, at the beginning, he wanted to do it por los buenas, they say in Spanish. Meaning, for the good way. How do you do it? We're going to make a big party. No, darling, where are you from? What? Nothing. Doesn't say a word. Okay, fine. Comes, everybody, taxes off in honor of my wife, the queen. Where are you from? Was that Yavish? I thought it was Yavish. Yeah? Where are you from? Nothing. Still didn't help. Yeah? Still doesn't help. What happened afterwards? Right? He comes and he says, what happened after that? He comes and he says, fine, if it's not from the good way, what am I going to do? I'm going to do it the bad way. What's the bad way? I'm going to get another wife. I'm going to make her jealous. But still nothing. He's looking for another wife. Still didn't care. She's not going to say anything. Yeah, we kavetz betulot shenit. Azal shakal etzah Mordechai. Right? He went and he took an etzah from Mordechai, meaning that Achashverosh went and he took an etzah from Mordechai. So says Mordechai, a woman is always jealous of the thigh of her friend. Meaning, if you're going to take another wife, she's going to be jealous. Why do you think the women, they would never let you get married to another wife nowadays? They would tell you over a dead body. Well, in the olden days, they didn't care. They would just take 4 or 5 women. The Gamarno, you understand? 4 or 5 wives. Nowadays, yeah?
The good old days.
Yeah, it was the good old days. Yeah, so he comes and he says, I'm going to make sure that we show that to his wife. Yeah, so what happened was, is that all of a sudden, any Shamit Kanet, yeah, Elabire Chaverta. So he says, Vafilu hachi lagal yele. Yeah, he comes and he says, she still didn't reveal it. Dichtiv, and Esther magedam olata. Yeah, Esther did not want to come and reveal where she was from. Amar Bilazar, says Bilazar, my dichtiv, what does it mean in the pasuk? Okay, we're on you, Gimel Amud 13b. Put on your seatbelts, please. Right? Lo yigra mitzadik enav. Yeah, I see the people are already touching their eyes. Yeah, look at it's a beautiful daf. Yeah, it says Hashem is coming and looking at the Masechet Megillah. Do you know that in the merit of the tzniut that Rachel Imenu had, she was zachta and she had Shaul because of that. Remember, Shaul came from Binyamin. Binyamin is from Rachel. What was the tzniut? And it actually came down also into her children as well. Shaul had tzniut, he had Esther. So the Gemara is going to say, what was the tzniut of Rachel? It says in says the Gemara, right? Yaakov Avinu he told Rachel that he's the brother, right? He's the brother of the father. It wasn't really the brother of the father, it was a nephew, but it doesn't matter. It says like it wasn't true. He's the nephew. El Amarla, he told her, get married to me. Amrale, she said, yes. Right? But he said, Miu Abarama who velo yachot. He says, yeah, but my father's a trickster. You won't be able to. Amala, he says, Achivana beramaut. I'm a trickster like him in Ramaut. Amrale, he says, what is it permitted for a tzaddik to start doing trickery? Right? This is not trick or treat here. What's going on? Right? You could start doing tricks. Amale, he says, yes. Im navarti tavar v'makeshti tapal. What does that mean? You act with a person the way that he acts. You ever heard of that? You act to the person the way that he acts. Some people think, no, you're not supposed to do that. No. You act, right? You act like the person, right? The way that they act. Some people think, no, you're not supposed to do that. No, it's written in Furash. He just said it. Yaakov Avinu, he comes and he says, which means if a person that goes biyoshed, right? So then you go biyoshed. The person says, you go like him. You act, you give him the taste of his own medicine. That's what it says. So he comes and he tells her, Umayra Muta, what's the trick? Amrale, she says, I have an older sister. And you know how it is. You always want to get rid of the older sister before the younger one. So Velo means Savli Kabaz. He's not going to get married to me before her. So Masala Simanim, he gave her Simanim. Kimata Lelia, when it came the night, Amra, she said, Hashta Michas Vachtai, my sister's going to become embarrassed. Satina Niala, she gave it to her. The Hainu Diktiv, and that's what it means. In the morning, she was Leah Miklal. Tadashla, what? She wasn't in Leah until now. Because of the simanim that she gave over, he didn't know. Adhasha until now, which means that was the sniut that she gave over the simanim. Right? That's why she was zocheh to have Shaul. So if you remember, I gave a shiur on this many moons ago, which basically had to do with the Rav Chaim Shmulevitz and Lev Shalom. That he said that sniut was not that she gave over the simanim. Because why is that sniut? She felt bad for her sister. She didn't want to embarrass her. What was it? That sniut was how she gave over the simanim. Because it says masrala simanim, masrala simanim. It doesn't say gilta la simanim. Gilta means I revealed it. Masrala, she gave it over. What does it mean she gave it over? Leah never knew they were simanim. She went to Leah, her sister, and she said, when you're going to get married to Yaakov, you have to know halachot. These are halachot of the chana. Chala nida lakataner. Every Jewish woman has to know these halachot. So here are the halachot. A, B, C, D. These are the halachot of chala. These are the halachot of nida. These are the halachot of lakataner. She gave them over. She didn't reveal them. And that's why later on, when comes Leah and she says, what? You almost stole my husband. And now you want to steal also my flowers? Everyone asks, stole your husband? It was only because of her that you have the husband. What do you have the chshoma? You know what that is? You're coming and you're telling Rachel, you stole my husband? You have to kiss her feet that because of her, I have my husband. If not, she would have been married to either Esav or been stranded. So what does that mean? No, because Leah never ever knew that she got simanim from Rachel. She never knew it was because of Rachel. She thought it was because of the ban. Meaning somebody's going to ask Leah, Mrs. Leah, why are you married to Yaakov Avinu? She's going to say because of my father. She's not going to say because of Rachel. That was a tzniut that she had. Rachel had such a tzniut that nobody ever knew. Meaning Leah didn't even know that she was given simanim. That's the masrala simanim. That is the Rav Chaim Shmulevitz, a beautiful chidush Rav Chaim Shmulevitz. What was the tzniut that was in Shaul? So he says, he didn't say anything about the Dvar Melucha. Right? He comes and he was zocheh to have Esther that she didn't tell her, which means it's the fact that he didn't say anything to do with the Melucha, right? Which means that it was midat tzniut, is that you don't mefarsem your ma'alot. You don't say how great you are and what you've done. A lot of people, they like to put their badges on themselves. You know, they like to have here, I'm a MD, RD, JD, I don't know, CPA with a million names afterwards. You understand? They want to put a whole bunch of titles. They like to have it here, all over the place. So what happens? Right over here, you go boss. Yeah. So he comes and he says, what happens is that a person has to realize you're not supposed to come and you're not supposed to let's sniut. Yeah, let's sniut. The Amar Rabbi Lazar says Rabbi Lazar, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to come and posek gedulah to a person, posek levanav livnei manav asok kol hadorot. He's going to give it to generations and generations. שנאמר בצד פסוק ואת המלכים לכיסא וישובם לנצח ויגביהו. ואת הגיס, ואם הגיס תתו, but if he becomes haughty, HaKadosh Baruch Hu משפילו. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes him down. שנאמר, ואם אסורים בזיקים. Right, that he comes and he says, which means that when they come, they're going to become poor and with these surim, and then he's going to bring them down. Meaning that he's going to come and he's going to give for generations all this, generations and generations.
He becomes arrogant?
Yes, it becomes haughty. That's arrogant, the same way. Yeah. Says the Gemara, Vet Ma'amar Mordechai Esther Osa, the Ma'amar Mordechai, that's what that she was doing. Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah, Shaita Mara Dam Nida LaChachamim. She was still showing the Dam Nida to Chachamim, which means whether it was Dam Tahor or Dam Nida, And that's why it says Ma'amar Mordechai, because she was doing according to what Mordechai always taught her. What does that mean? Because she was doing everything just like when she was with Mordechai. Says Rabbi Lima, she used to come, she used to get out from Achashverosh, do tevilah, right, and then go to the Chekosh of Mordechai, which means it was going to be disgusting if now she's going to go to Mordechai after she's been with Achashverosh. So she used to do tevilah and then go to Mordechai, right? She wouldn't go without it. So during those days, Mordechai was sitting in the gates of the king. Katzaf Biktam v'Teresh were very, very upset. Why were they very upset? Amar Rabbi Yochanan bar Abba Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, he went and he got them upset. In order to make the Ratzon of the Tzaddik. Who is that? Yosef. What does that mean? And because of that, he went. That means basically, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made that Paro became upset at the Tzara Mashkim, and Tzara Ofim, in order to take Yosef out of jail. Avadim al Adonehen lasot im nes letzaddik. Who is that? Mordechai. Which means HaKadosh Baruch Hu did the same thing, that he made it known to Mordechai. If you remember, this was a machloket, whether he knew through Ruach HaKodesh or he understood the language, right? That was a machloket that we learned above. But basically, he made it known to Mordechai what happened. So now, what happened exactly? So he comes and he says, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Biktan v'Teresh shne tarsim hayu. Biktan v'Teresh were tarsim. Okay, vayu misaprim, and they were actually coming and they were misaprim, right? Bilshon tarsi, they were speaking Lashon tarsi. Ve'omrim, and they said, Miyom shebat zo, from the day that Esther Malka came to the kingdom, lo rainu shina be'enenu. Right? We didn't sleep. Why? He was always having relations. Now, what happens after relations? A person becomes thirsty. A person becomes thirsty after relations. So bovenatil eres basefel kedesh yamut. So they wanted to come, right? And they wanted to put eres into the drink in order that he should die. Eres is a poison. Yeah, vehen lo yu yodin, right? They didn't know that he used to sit in the Lishkat HaGazit. Therefore, he knew 70 languages, so he knew to see. Amarlo, when he said, he says what? They don't have the same mishpat, meaning they don't have the same watches. So how are they going to do it? So it says, Amarlo, he says, Ani eshmor mishmarti mishpartecha. I'm going to do both. And in order to do that, we're going to help, meaning that I'll cover for you. Yeah. What? One of them to the other. Biktan v'Teresh, right? There were two different ones. So one of them says, we don't have the same Ishmael. He says, don't worry, I'm going to watch over your watching. So now I'm going to be take 2 shifts. By me taking 2 shifts, we're going to be able to do this. So he says, and that's why it was written, that they found out about it. The fact that they weren't in the proper time at work, that actually helped them to realize that they were doing something monkey business, as they say.
What the reason they want to be there?
Because they were the ones that always used to give to drink Achashverosh. They said they weren't able to sleep anymore because every single time that Esther was in the kingdom, once she became to the kingdom, they were always he was always having relations with her. So since he always wanted to drink. So every single time he had to come back. It was too much for them. So they said, let's kill him. That's it.
Give him a full bottle and then he goes all night.
No. That's he had to come afterwards. Oh, you're going to give a king a full bottle every single time he wants to come. Yeah. Next, after these words, okay, Mayachar, what does it mean after? Rava says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu already created the refuah to the Makkah. Meaning, if you already realize HaKadosh Baruch Hu already gave the cure before the Makkah came. The Makkah, right, but the Makkah was only afterwards. So already from the beginning, meaning before Achar Gidal HaMelech HaChashverosh, which is Perek Gimel of the Megillah, the end of Perek Bet, HaKadosh Baruch Hu already put the remedy. The end of Perek Bet, it's already written this. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu already was Magdim Trufa LaMakkah. Ta'aman Shakish says Shakish. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu Maket Yisrael Ken Bore Laim Refuah Tchila. He will never hit Israel unless they already have the refuah beforehand. Shneimar Kerofili Yisrael Niglav on Ephraim. Aval Umot HaOlam En Kabel Umot HaOlam no. Makkah Otan, he hits them. And then afterwards he makes them a remedy. Right? First he gives them the Makkah, and afterwards he makes them the Pfizer. Right? Shneimar V'Nagav Hashem En Mitzrayim V'Nagov Rafo. So he comes and he says that's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he hits Mitzrayim Nagov, and then afterwards the Rafo. So first it's the Negev, and afterwards it's the Refuah. Okay, first it's the plague, and then afterwards it's the Refuah. Okay, so he says Haman was embarrassed just to send his hand to kill Mordechai, because Haman became the king, like the second in command. He's not going to go after one guy. It's not his kavod. He used to go after everybody. Vayivez be'enav. Yishov Mordechai levedo. Amar Rava b'tchila b'Mordechai levedo ulvasof be'am Mordechai. Manu Rabbanan. He wanted to go to the rabbis. Ulvasof, and then at the end b'chol haYudim. So at the beginning he says, I can't just go against Mordechai. I'm going to go against all the rabbis. And he said, even if not even all the rabbis. I'm going to go against everything. So how are you going to go against all the Jews? He pil puru agoral. He made a pur. He made a pur. What is a pur? A goral. Goral is the lottery. So he says, Tana, given Shanafal pur b'chodesh Adar, once it came out in the month of Adar, Samas Michal was very happy. Amari said, Nafal li pur b'yerech shemebo Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu died in the month of Adar. Yeah. So therefore, that's the best month. But he didn't know Moshe Rabbeinu was born also in the 7th month. So even though it was something bad, but there was also something good that came out of it. He was also born. The salvation he said also was born in the 7th of Adar. Yeshno Am Echad Amar Rav. What does it mean that there's one nation? So he comes and he tells the king of Achashverosh, we have one nation. So he comes and he says like this. He says, Yeshno Am Echad Amar Rav. Rav says, Lekad Yada Lishnabisha Kaman. There's nobody that knows how to say a spicy lashon hara like Haman. He says, why? Amale, he comes and he says, Ta nechlinhu. Why don't we just destroy them? So Amale Achashverosh says, Mistapina Melokav. I'm afraid of their God. The law of it that he's not going to do, just like he did to my forefather. Meaning, look what he did. Amale, he says, Yashnu mina mitzvot. They're sleeping from mitzvot. They're not doing mitzvot. Right? They're not coming to shachrit. They're not doing mitzvot. You understand? Yashnu mina mitzvot. So he says, Amale itru rabbanan. Yeah, but they still have tamidei chachamim. Amale, he says, Am echadhen. He says, Kulam shavim. Tamidei chachamim are not mekayim the mitzvot. They're all the same. They're am echad. What does it mean am echad? They're all the same. Yeah, they're not doing mitzvot. So Shema Tomar, maybe you're going to say Korchanim Sulumachutecha. Maybe you're going to say I'm going to make like a hole in your kingdom. It's they're all over the place. So you're not going to feel them. Shema Tomar, maybe you're going to say Itihanaminayu, right? That what? Maybe you have a benefit from them. Meforad ki preda zu she'eno seperot. It's like a preda. Preda is it's a toleda of a sus and a chamor. It's like a mule, right? That is basically between the horse and the donkey when you put them together. It doesn't make perot. Maybe you're going to say Ika Medanta Medinta Minayu. Maybe there's a Medina which is going to lack. They're all over the place, which means that there's not even one Medina, the Jews. They're scattered all over the world. And that was last night's shiur of the Mishmar. Yeah, they're all over the place. And then what happens? And so that's it. So don't worry about them. So Vedatehem Shlomi Kulam, their religion is different than all the other ones. That they don't eat the food. They don't also, right, get married to us, to our daughters. And we don't get married to them. They don't do Tatei Melech. What does that mean? They come, they can't work. What do they say? Shabbat hayom, Pesach hayom. What does that mean? Every single day is Shabbat and every single day is Pesach. Did you realize? The Jews are always on vacation. Today's Pesach, today's Shabbat, today's Sukkot, today's Shavuot, today's Chanukah, today's Rosh Chodesh, today's this, today's that. It's always vacation. So therefore, it's not worth it for the king to have them. They come, they eat and they drink, and then they disgrace the malchut. Why? Even if a fly will fall into the cup of one of them, they throw out the fly and they drink the cup. But if the king touches their cup, they come, they throw it out, and he doesn't drink it. You see, that's what he says. Nobody knew like Lishna Misha. Nobody looked like Shonara. Exactly. You're worse than a zoo. You're worse than a fly. Yeah? So he says, if it's good for the king, destroy them, and I'm going to write you a check. Yeah, with a check, we do everything. You understand? But it's not true. Why? You think who cares about a check? Obviously, people think that with money, you could buy whatever you want. Money doesn't buy things. You understand? Money doesn't buy things. It's Hashem. As long as you have emunah in Hashem, that's it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu already knew, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu already knew, right, what was going to go on. Shatid aman lishkol shekalim, that he was going to come and he was going to weigh these aseret shekalim al Yisrael. Lefichach higdam shiklehen lishikalav. So again, the same thing that we mentioned before. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's matim trufa al makah, parashat shekalim. Right? What was parashat shekalim? Right? It says dehainu ditran. That's what we learned in the Mishnah. Be'echad be'adar mashmiin al shekalim. Be'echad be'adar. We're going to and on the kilaim. So you see from here that already HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us to give the shekalim, right, in order to come and in order to give this. Parashat Kitisa? Hello? Parashat Kitisa?
No, Truma.
Truma. Okay, very nice. מתאים לך דברים, לא מתאים לך תרומה, אבל בסדר. לא מתאים לך. דברים, צריך להיות...
Over
ויאמר המלך. So the king says, לאמן, so he comes and he says, ויאמר המלך לאמן, it's true, big in תרומות. ויאמר המלך לאמן, הכסף נתון לך, לעם לעשות בו כתוב בעיניך. Comes the Achashverosh and he says, you know what? Take them, do whatever you want. אמר רבי אבא, משל דאחשוורוש והמן, למה דבר דומה? What does it compare the משל of Achashverosh and Haman? What does it compare to? י"ד עמוד א' on the top. לשני בני אדם, לאחד היה לו תל בתוך שדהו, לאחד היה לו חריץ בתוך שדהו. One of them, he had a mount in his field, and the other one had a hole in his field. So בעל החריץ אמר לי, he said, you know what, listen, you have this mount, give it to me, I'm going to pay you for it. ייתן לי תל, אולי זה בדמים, הוא בעל התל, he says, you know what, מי ייתן לי חריץ, who's going to give it to me? לימין, all of a sudden they come and they say, בעל החריץ בעל התל, יכול sell it to me, אמר לו, תול אותו בחינם, take it בחינם והלוואי, take it, just take it for free. Why? I want to get rid of it. So take it for free. At the beginning, he was going to pay someone to take it out of his field. The other guy was going to pay someone for the dirt in order to fill up his hole. So now they come together and say, you know what, take it for free. So that's what the Achashverosh
wanted to get rid of.
Exactly. The Achashverosh wanted to get rid of the Jews. So when Haman comes, he says, I'm going to pay you for it. He says, go take it for free. Do whatever you want. Have a wonderful day, everyone.